And we welcome you back into Dodger Poke Report for another feature cut. Tonight's feature is on Michael Grove, who just made his Major League debut today, throwing 3.2 scoreless innings. Grove came out of West Virginia. He grew up in West Virginia, went to Wheeling Park High School. Many people think that he is the greatest athlete ever to come out of that high school. Kind of a debate going. His high school coach Coach McLeod, was drafted by the A's and was a three-sport superstar. So there's kind of some back and forth. If you see the interview I did with Grove, there was some back and forth to that. Just kind of some fun with that. So Michael Grove, considered to be one of the greatest athletes ever out of his high school. Very smart young man. He went to West Virginia, got off to a good start as a freshman at West Virginia, made the all-freshman Big 12 team for the Mountaineers, and then got off to a good start as a sophomore, and then had Tommy John surgery. So I don't think a lot of people realize this, but he lost the back half of his sophomore year, all of his junior year, to Tommy John. And although he did not get to pitch half of his sophomore year and his whole junior year, the Dodgers still drafted him in the second round of the 2018 draft. So that tells you what Billy Gasparino thought about his arm talent and what he brought to the table, that he still drafted Grove, although he lost a year and a half of college and had not pitched basically since the beginning of his sophomore year. Gasparino is quoted as saying, "Hey, we did it with Walker Buehler with the Tommy John. There's no reason why we can't do it with Grove." And so that just kind of tells you the arm talent that Grove has. Now, as he came to the Dodgers, he's kind of had some setbacks because 2019, he was coming back from the Tommy John. He had limited pitch counts. 2020 was supposed to be that season where he was going to get back on normal pitch counts, get let off the leash, if you will. Then COVID canceled that for the minor leaguers. He did get to pitch at the site there in Arizona, but it's not the same. You don't have the same amount of adrenaline, same hitters every day. So losing 2020 was a pretty big deal for him. So last year, 2021, was kind of that season where he got let off the leash, got back to normal pitch counts. And then about halfway through last year, the Dodgers decided to make some pretty drastic changes with him that we're going to get into with his spine angle. So let's go ahead and get into that now. Let's look at his spine angle here. The spine angle on the left is his old spine angle. You can see he leans pretty heavily towards the first base side, and you can see he's going to be throwing uphill pretty good, which it's good for that curveball, because we'll see his curveball here in a minute. It provides a lot of break and a lot of movement to his pitches, but he wasn't able to command his pitches as well, and he wasn't able to throw as hard. You see the more upright spine angle that he throws with. That picture is actually from today in his debut in the major leagues. Now that he is more upright with his spine angle, he has added velocity. He went from being 92, 93 to what we saw today, which was 95, 96, sometimes 97. And then he actually has become quite a bit more consistent. He throws a lot more strikes because of the spine angle changes. Let's get to his pitch mix. Here's a blistering fastball on the outer half at 96. This next pitch is going to be a 96 center cut right down the middle. And then you're going to see a slider on the inner half to a right-hander that I want you to put that slider in the back of your mind and remember that, because we'll get back to that slider here in just a minute. But let's get to his landing spots. The pitch on the left is that one that was on the outside. The pitch in the middle was the center cut fastball. And the pitch on the right actually is a curveball that he threw that dove into the dirt. Now, what I want you to notice, look at his landing spot. It's in the exact same spot, whether it be an outside fastball, a center cut fastball, or a curveball that breaks in the dirt. There is no tip to the hitter as far as the location of the pitch, because he lands in the exact same spot every time. His body is in the same spot every time, and he is relying on the movement of the pitch to determine the location and not where he lands his foot, so he's not tipping off the location of the pitch. The next thing that I want you to notice, look at the baseball. They're tunneled the exact same. That outside fastball on the left is tunneled exactly like the center cut fastball in the middle. The difference is the center cut fastball is going to break back towards the middle of the plate and back into a righty. It's going to run, I should say, to his arm side. And that's how he's going to create the location, not his landing spot. So when the hitter picks up the baseball, the tunnel is the exact same. So there's no way to know where the location of the pitch is going to be. There's no way to know where it's going to end up. And so that's why you see a lot of hitters foul off a lot of pitches and don't square Michael Grove up a whole lot. Now, if you look at the picture on the far right, that's even better, because that is the curveball. And one thing that Grove will tell you is that his curveball breaks so much that if he wants to throw it for a strike, and we'll get to that here in a minute, I'll show you the tunneling of his curveball he throws for a strike. The problem with his curveball he throws for a strike is he has to start it so high out of the strike zone that it doesn't tunnel well off of his fastball. That's why he needs to throw this curveball that he threw to this left-hander on that pitch in the right in the dirt, because the curveball in the dirt is actually the curveball that tunnels off of the fastball, and that's why you get a lot of swing and miss on that. Let's watch this curveball, and here is that big looping curveball for a strike. And what I want to show you is the tunnel that comes out of. Now, notice that this is well out of the zone when it tunnels, and if you go back to the landing spots that I showed you just a minute ago, that does not tunnel off of his fastball. So what Grove has had to do is he has had to go back to, and let's get back to the third pitch here. Here's that fastball. What he's had to do is he has had to throw the curveball in the dirt, and then here comes the pitch here in just a minute, that slider. That slider he has used as his off speed to tunnel off the fastball, and then he has used that curveball in the dirt to tunnel off of his fastball, and then he started throwing that curveball that bites down in the dirt, that tunnels off the fastball as well. So as you saw today with the 3.2 scoreless innings, Michael Grove has a lot of stuff. I mean, he has the 95, 96, sometimes 97 fastball, the big breaking ball that we saw that he can throw for a strike in any count. We saw him throw it in negative counts today on a couple of occasions. He has the curveball that can break down in the dirt. He has a slider that we saw. He does have a changeup that he's not throwing as much. It's a very feel-heavy pitch, but I do think as he gets more comfortable, as he moves up, and I think probably someday he will throw a changeup. We did not see one today. We saw the slider, we saw the curveball, or the slider, the harder breaking pitch, I'll say. I don't know exactly what he calls it or wants to call it, but the harder breaking ball, we saw the big curveball that he's always had, and then the blistering fastball that has the arm side run to it. So Michael Grove, he brings a lot to the table. Those are some of the reasons why I think he has a long career ahead of him in the major leagues and why he is going to be very, very good, very, very good. I'm glad that you tuned in to another Dodger Poke Report main feature cut, and I hope that you log on to DodgerPokeReport.com or visit Dodger Poke on all the social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok. We also have a podcast. Just go to the podcast streaming service of your choice and search Dodger Poke Report and never miss a thing from Dodger Poke. As always, I'm glad that you tuned in, and go Dodgers!